phenomenal. The phenomenal.
You're listening to the Phenomenal Forum on WCWPsports.org and iTunes.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Phenomenal Forum. I'm your host, Matt Weinstein. Joined alongside, it's to my right, Andrew Servideo. Across the table, special guest Myke Simpson joining us today.
What's up?
And as always, to my left, Alex the Dumpster Demiris. Guys, what's going on? We got a lot to talk about today.
How are we?
The Dumpster.
Oh, for sure.
Whose nickname is that?
I call him that every week.
Oh, I see.
That's Alex, isn't it? Alex the Dumpster Demiris.
Oh, yeah.
I've been saying that for 10 weeks.
The dump.
So, anyway, we'll get right into it. Now, before we get into a WWE ring, we got to take things over to New Japan. Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Wrestle Kingdom 12, fast approaching January 4th. Now, Jericho, I didn't expect this. I don't know if anybody did, that Jericho would wind up in Japan before that Wrestle Kingdom show. What do you got for me, Andrew?
I didn't expect it whatsoever. I looked on the Reddit feed the morning of, and I was like, oh, wow, he actually showed up in New Japan, and he did something. I just thought it was going to be the Wrestle Kingdom match, but it's pretty cool. I liked what they did. You definitely don't see any of that in, like, WWE, and even Jericho said that in, like, an interview afterwards. He was like, you don't see this stuff in WWE whatsoever. Like, he busts open Kenny Omega with the title. There was, like, a big gash in his forehead. Yeah, I think he bladed. It looked like he bladed, but yeah, it was very cool. I like the way that Jericho's, like, going about this. It's like something different. It's something that I'm looking forward to see.
Yeah, it was cool. And then Jericho took Omega's blood and rubbed it on his face.
Yeah.
It kind of really made him look real heelish. I was expecting a bigger pop, though, when I heard it. Maybe they didn't realize. I mean, they had to know who it was, right?
Well, I don't know. It's a different type of crowd. Maybe the pop wasn't as big. But my biggest takeaway, my favorite part of this whole thing is when Jericho was walking to the back and he just started flipping off the crowd. This is classic heel Jericho. He's probably been waiting to do stuff like this for years. And I'm as excited as I was to begin with. I'm so excited for this match on January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom. So, moving on to that, we'll get back into the WWE. This past week announced on their website that the WWE Mixed Match Challenge Tournament set to begin airing on January 16th live on Facebook. It's going to be a 12-episode series. Tag teams from Raw, tag teams from Smackdown are going to compete. All mixed tag teams.
I'm very excited for this. If they do it well, it's going to be good because we haven't had mixed tag team matches like on a weekly basis in a long time. And this tournament, like it being live, is like also really cool. I would have rather it be on the network, but apparently like they're not going to make money off of it if it's on the network.
Why is it on Facebook? I don't understand that.
Yeah, so the thing is like they won't be making any extra money from doing it on the network. So if they do it on Facebook, they'll be making more money.
Can we talk about this for a second? So it's 1 day a week?
It's going to be 1 day a week, half-hour show in the 205 Live time slot at 10 on Tuesdays. 205 Live is going to jump to 10:30. I guess they'll have
2 matches,
2 or 3 matches on this show. And they, Kurt Angle's been talking about it. Daniel Bryan's been talking about it a lot on social media that they're going to pick their teams. So
the superstars pick their own teams?
I don't know if the superstars pick their own team. They get paired up by the fans. They get paired up by the GMs. However it is, but the list of competitors, it includes, for Raw, it's Braun Strowman, Finn Balor. On the women's side, Alexa Bliss, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, Enzo's in there. And then on SmackDown, Bobby Roode, Sami Zayn, Charlotte, Natalya, Jimmy Uso, Rusev, Lana, Naomi. It'll be interesting to see if, obviously, they're married in real life. If they get paired together, a lot of interesting matchups could be made here. I think this is going to be very, very entertaining. And if you look at the past year or two, the tournaments they've put on, the CWC, the UK tournament, the Mae Young Classic, if this follows in the footsteps of that, this is going to be a great tournament.
Did they announce if Mike Kanellis is going to be in it?
Where's he been?
I don't think...
He's been rehabbing from... he had an addiction or something like that.
Oh,
yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think he's in it.
To love.
It was like painkillers or something like that. But he's been clean for like 5 months. He said today, I think.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. So hopefully he comes back soon. This would be a great spot for him. Just to see him on TV.
Yeah,
that's what we're looking for. And finally, the last piece of news before we get into the ring. This happened last week, actually, the day after we released the podcast. Rich Swann was arrested for he got charged with domestic violence. He beat up his wife or his girlfriend, whoever it was, and he was indefinitely suspended by the WWE. there's a good chance he could get fired. And before that happened, the week earlier, he had won a Fatal 4-Way to be in a number one contender match against Drew Gulak for the Cruiserweight title. Now, Cedric Alexander won a Fatal 4-Way this Monday. Now it's Cedric versus Gulak. But before we get into that match, what a blow for Rich Swann. I mean, obviously, you gotta, obviously, it's his fault, and you gotta punish him for it. But he had a huge number one contender match coming up, a huge chance for him.
Terrible timing for him and the WWE. It sucks. And such a happy guy, like, on the screen. You would never think, like, he would be, like, the last guy. But it sucks. You see these names pop up, and, like, it's every week. If not WWE, but with celebrities in general, it's either a domestic violence or
football, lots of
assault,
happening.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Just something, everything. Every week something new pops up. It's terrible.
I think they got to take it seriously, though, and really enforce the rules on them, instead of if they want to be respected as a big sports company. How the NFL is suspending players for domestic abuse problems.
Oh, yeah. He got suspended, like, instantly.
He got,
As soon as the news
they
broke
came out right away. They put something out on their website that said, we don't tolerate this. He's suspended.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we never see Rich Swann again.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks for the Cruiserweight division especially, who's, trying to pick up momentum, trying over and over again, like, throughout the whole year, throughout the last year, too. And they can't really pick up steam, and this is, like, a big blow to that as well.
But now, we'll keep it with the Cruiserweight division. They've been trying to pick up steam. One storyline, obviously, that's been getting a lot of love is this Gulak and Enzo storyline. Gulak has a chance to be the number one contender. I know we talked about it last week, and now obviously his opponent's changed. Now he gets Cedric Alexander, who week in and week out puts on the best matches in the whole division. One, I'm excited for these two guys to get in the ring, and I still think Gulak ends up winning this match, and we get a Gulak Enzo. We kind of saw it teased a little bit, the face turn from Gulak.
Yeah, but do you think I feel like they're going to milk this a little bit more, no?
I mean, I'm not saying Gulak has to beat Enzo right away, or the match has to happen the next week on 205 Live. I think they have some time, but this is really, since Neville's left the Cruiserweight division, this Enzo Gulak story could be the biggest story they've had.
Yeah.
This was a great match, the Fatal 4-Way.
Yes.
It was really good. The second chance Fatal 4-Way, it was Cedric, Daivari, Tony Abbs, and I'm missing one guy, Mustafa. It was a really good match, I thought.
Again, Cedric and Mustafa Ali just put it on incredible work. Those two guys, really, whichever of them won, I would have been cool with.
And you knew it was going to be one of those two.
Yeah, it had to, especially against Gulak. They weren't going to have Zotrain versus Zotrain to then face Enzo. This is a cool dynamic. You get the potential Gulak Enzo, but then there's also the Cedric Alexander potential for him to wrestle Enzo. I've been waiting for Cedric Alexander to get a Cruiserweight title match probably since the week after the Cruiserweight Classic.
He's never gotten a Cruiserweight title match. Right?
I don't think so.
That's crazy.
I think he's going to get it.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's going to win.
Really?
I think he'll beat Gulak, because I'm not ready to end the Gulak Enzo love fest.
I agree. I agree with that.
That's a good point. And it'll be interesting to see because obviously Alexander wasn't in the plans. They planned on having Rich Swann, whether he would win or lose. But for them to, change that plan to have a different person, and then to completely nix the idea of Gulak Enzo and have Cedric, I mean, I'd be all for it.
Yeah.
Let's not get me wrong. So we'll move into the rest of Raw. So Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, they continue their promos. They're on screen.
I like it.
I love it, but this was a lot of the week prior. There was nothing really new that enhanced this storyline, for me at least.
I don't know. I disagree. I think some of the dialogue was very different from what the original week was. This is like alluding to like a big war. This is not just alluding to Bray Wyatt versus Matt Hardy. This is alluding to Matt Hardy's been alluding to this great war that he wants to have between the Wyatt, the Wyatt family against, Matt Hardy's, family or whatever he's going to call it. But I see both of them recruiting people to join or whatever's going on. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm on with both of you guys. It was more of the same of last week, but Matt Hardy, when he starts going, man, and he starts talking about the ancient times of Babylon and all this stuff like that, that was so funny, man.
It's great.
When he spent plenty of time with Genghis Khan. I love it. I absolutely love it.
The laugh is the best.
Yeah, just the laugh. Both laughs going on for like 2 minutes straight, cutting back and forth to each guy.
But for me, I can't get enough of it, but for me, I feel like it didn't really enhance anything. It was kind of just it was like almost the first week when they went back and forth. That segment was supposed to be 10 minutes, and they said, all right, we'll just cut it, and we'll have it go for 2 weeks straight.
And this is what we talked about last week, Mike. It was like, we don't know when this match is coming, so they're probably going to have to do something like this to stretch it out.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
just to
gonna
make
stretch,
it go a little farther
Right.
down the line.
Were they
before we
wearing
get this
Were they
match.
wearing the same clothes in each promo?
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure Matt Hardy
So
was
then
on the
maybe-
same. Matt Hardy was on the same backdrop.
Right.
He
So
was
then
in the
maybe
same
maybe
spot.
they did just cut it in half. It makes sense.
I wouldn't doubt it. So now a big chunk of Raw was the Shield versus the Bar and Samoa Joe. We had the 3 singles matches. First it was Rollins, Sheamus, Samoa Joe, Ambrose, and Reigns, Cesaro. We'll start with Reigns, Cesaro. It was the last one of the night. Best match all around.
Fantastic match.
We say what we want about Roman Reigns every week, but he delivers, especially with a guy like Cesaro in the ring.
Yeah, Cesaro is one of the best in-ring performers in WWE currently, so him going against Reigns was truly like one of the best matches we've seen in a while on Raw.
I love this match. I thought 2 out of the 3 of these singles matches were awesome. And I won't say which other one, but this one was one of them. And I thought it was a great match.
And my favorite part of this match is it was the first time in so long, I can't even remember the last time, where Cesaro was in a singles match that mattered.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to take the IC title off Roman Reigns, but to have this guy, like, we forget that this is, like, Andrew, you said, one of the best in-ring guys in the entire company, and for however long he's been in a tag team, whether it was with Sheamus or go back to when he was with Tyson Kidd, for as long as I can remember, he's been a part of a great tag team.
Yeah.
And for him to get the chance to shine in a singles match with somebody like Roman Reigns, I think there's nowhere to go but up for Cesaro here.
Hopefully so. And the fact that we talked about this last week with Sheamus having that spinal, what's it called? Spinal fibrosis, right?
Spinal stenosis, but he looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's serious stuff. I don't know what he's been wrestling with that, really.
Yeah, because Edge and Stone Cold retired from it, so that's like really dangerous if it's serious. But
Yeah, apparently he's been working through it. He looks fine.
He's still
So-
doing all of his regular moves and stuff, so.
yeah,
So anyway, and to put him in the obviously they put him in the ring with a guy like Seth Rollins. These are the guys. If you want him to be able to continue to wrestle, he's been wrestling Rollins and Ambrose since SummerSlam. So these are that could possibly have something to do with it. These are the guys that you want to put him in the ring with. They'll take care of him.
sure.
If that's the case.
Very
So
true.
next up on Raw, we had Absolution, Paige, Sonya Deville, and not Liv Morgan. See, that's how similar they are.
Mandy
Sonya
Rose.
Deville and Mandy Rose. They finally attempted to attack Asuka. They've been joking about. They've been alluding
Teasing it,
to that,
yeah.
teasing it all the past couple weeks since they've been up. And finally, they started getting to Asuka. But then the entire Raw Women's division, heels, babyfaces, didn't matter. They came out and they fought Absolution off. I was a huge fan of this.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you why. Because heels, babyfaces, it didn't matter. It was almost like that Survivor Series feel, where it was like brand loyalty, Raw and SmackDown. But at Survivor Series, you didn't believe that someone like Braun Strowman really cared about Raw, or Samoa Joe really cares about Raw. But all of these women coming out, it was like, Absolution, you just got here. This is our show. You're going to play by our rules. I was a very big fan of this.
I was a fan of this whole segment until I saw the same thing the next night on SmackDown Live. How many times can I see the same thing happen on Raw and SmackDown between both women's divisions? I thought it was awesome. I reiterate everything you just said, except 8 o'clock on Tuesday when the same exact thing happened.
And that's the problem. You bring up, we've been saying it week after week, you bring up these two very similar groups of women. You can match them up perfectly, and it'd be one thing if they were doing their own thing. They were doing things. They're doing the same thing every night, the day after.
And I think that's what's making me not feel the same way as you guys about this, but it's just the fact that it's happening 2 nights in a row essentially, and it's like the same exact storyline, almost the same exact wrestlers. They have almost the same exact characters. It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know.
So nonetheless, whenever obviously this is gonna tease eventually Paige versus Asuka match. I think that's the big money match in this Raw Women's division for sure. Mm-hmm. And you could throw either of the two of them, and I'd look at SmackDown with Charlotte. I think those 3 women are the three that are going to, and you could even throw Sasha in there too, that are going to carry this women's division moving forward. And you can plug in any of those pieces, they're always going to put on a great match.
Yeah, I think they expect big things from Ruby Riott too, though. Having her lead the other trio, I think they expect her to be in that upper echelon with those other names you mentioned.
Yeah, I see that. I think they're leading the way for these new younger women that haven't had as much experience as Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott's definitely had a lot more experience than the other two, and the other four. Yeah, the other four. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what actually happens with this end result that's going on here. But right now, I don't see it going that much further as far as like being better in any way.
Can we talk about one other woman in this division that's trying to get some love? Nia Jax.
I know where you're going. Let me hear it.
Nia Jax and this Enzo thing. I like it.
I think
it's pretty funny.
I like it.
That's a perfect transition to this now mixed match challenge. There's no way they're not going to be on the same team,
You would
right?
have to think,
they
right?
have to be.
They have to be.
Because it's funny. Just 2 weeks ago, the one "How you doing" end of the segment, and then they go a little more into it this past week on Monday. Curious to see how this unfolds. It's funny because you have the Enzo with the Zotrain look, and then you have this little other angle coming up where Nia all of a sudden has interest in Enzo. Where is this coming from?
It's out of nowhere, but this is, again, perfect transition to this mixed match challenge. I can't wait to see who these pairs are. That's one of the most entertaining of the bunch. Obviously, we saw on Twitter, Sasha and Bayley were kind of going back and forth. They're like, I want Finn Balor. No, I want Finn Balor. And Finn tweeted,
really?
at WWE, please, please, please pair me with Bayley.
Really?
So, yeah. So that's something.
What's he thinking?
Nah.
Rather be paired with Bayley than Sasha?
They paired up before in NXT
they paired up a lot
couple
in
times,
NXT.
and they're like close friends, so it makes sense. But,
A lot of
Not to me.
A lot of
Not to me.
doesn't make sense to me. A lot of interesting matchups. We could potentially see like Asuka and Braun Strowman, which I think would be like the most.
How does that team lose?
I think that would be exactly.
How does that
I
team
think
lose?
I think that'd be the most dominant team of all time.
yeah.
Ever.
Also, they wanted Charlotte and Bobby Roode. Charlotte tweeted out that she wanted Bobby Roode on her team, which would be really cool. The two robed.
That would be cool. But
And-
I saw Carmella tweeted Bobby Roode a little fabulous, glorious action too could happen.
That'd be cool.
And then the last potential partnership before we get to break, I saw going back and forth on Twitter was Asuka with Goldust, which I thought was pretty interesting.
I think
He
He must be.
Oh,
that's
my
the
God.
Goldust attempt to
That's
try and
amazing.
get into the limelight with his Facebook
Goldust
Live
is saying,
series.
all right, if I'm gonna win this thing, I need the partner. I'll take Asuka.
Take the best one.
He's not dumb. So we're gonna take a quick break. When we get back, we'll finish up Raw and head into the rest of the week. You're listening to the Phenomenal Forum here on WCWPSports.org.
You're listening to the Phenomenal Forum.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Phenomenal Forum. Matt Weinstein alongside Andrew Savidio, Alex Demiris, as well as Myke Simpson today, each and every week here on WCWPSports.org. So we'll get into the rest of Raw. Alex, you were mentioned during the break, a big match that stood out to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight this match for a moment because I've been given a lot of slack to. I've said I was tired of seeing the tag team singles matches, if that makes sense. The two tag teams that we're used to seeing, Sheamus and Cesaro, and then Rollins and Ambrose. I thought Rollins-Sheamus this week was probably the best match of Raw. I thought Reigns and Cesaro was awesome. I thought the Fatal 4-Way for the Cruiserweight opportunity was awesome. But I have to give props where credit is due. Rollins and Sheamus, I thought was match of the night.
I wouldn't say it's so far off. It was either that or Reigns-Cesaro. Because we've seen Rollins versus Sheamus, we've seen Rollins, Cesaro, Ambrose versus the two of them. This was different. This felt like it was. I feel like they were fighting for something this week, because now it's obviously you get this new 6-man tag. We're gonna eventually see Sheamus, Cesaro, and Joe versus these three, and now it's like again Rollins and Ambrose fell short of the tag team titles. They kind of got screwed out of it with Samoa Joe coming out with the no DQ finish, whatever it was. But now I feel like it's almost that this is more than the tag titles now. This is just like it's almost personal now.
Yeah.
Like whether they're the champions or not, they want to prove that they're they're the top 2 guys, top 3 guys on this in the company.
And that's a good way to look at it, because that gives a little more incentive to these matches, finally, than just any other random singles match that we're putting up.
Yeah, I felt like the Cesaro-Reigns match had a lot more meaning to it. I felt like Cesaro had something to prove, and he did, and he showed us that he can hang with the best, even though he is one of the best.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, moving on to the rest of Raw, talking about one of the best, somebody we've seen kind of in really nonsense, not really no-name matches the past couple weeks is Finn Balor.
Right.
Last week he beat Bo Dallas. This week he beats Curtis Axel. Where obviously we mentioned a couple weeks ago he was penciled in to wrestle Brock at the Rumble. Vince nixed that idea. Where does Finn Balor go from here?
I really have no clue, because he was in that feud with Bray Wyatt for so long, and he is now just wrestling Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. Like, how do you go from such a high, like, quality feud to now just, like, wrestling random people and losing to big guys like Kane and Braun?
Yeah. And when he came in, I think the way that they mishandled Finn Balor was when he came in, they just shot him up to the top, gave him the title, and I think the problem with that is you can only go down from there. So now we look at Finn now, and he's facing, Curtis Axel, Bo Dallas, these kind of lower-level guys, and we think he's getting buried. He's down in the bottom. I think they just mishandled him a little bit when they brought him in. They should have sloped him up a little bit, worked with him, seen that he can handle the WWE workload.
It also didn't help that he got injured on the Universal title match, so that really put a damper on things.
I was going to say, who knows where that title reign would have went, but I feel like once he got injured, it was kind of like, all right, we'll deal with this guy later, but when he comes back, we'll kind of see what else we have until we remember, oh, this is the guy. We called his number once. We'll do it again down the line.
And I feel like you see that a lot with, like, a guy will get shot to the top, get injured, and it's kind of like Vince just forgets about him, and it's like, I just throw him in the mid-card.
What if we see Finn against Roman for an Intercontinental Championship match?
Yeah, that'd be cool. But the thing is, like, again, I say this every week now that Roman has had the IC title, is who is the one to finally beat him? Mm-hmm. I have no clue who could, like, win against Roman.
I think Finn could be a good opponent. If you don't want Finn in the Universal title picture, put him in the Intercontinental title picture.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. We talked about last week how the open challenge of Roman Reigns, it wasn't really working, wasn't really much. This week wasn't really an open challenge, but this Reigns-Cesaro match, that's what he should have been doing every week. That's what he did it with Elias. He's been doing it with whoever, with Jason Jordan. Guys like this, guys like Cesaro, guys like it could be Finn Balor, just get them in the ring with Roman Reigns, the spotlight is on them, and let them deliver.
Yeah, and then maybe one of these times, one of these guys beats him, and that's how the title gets taken
Maybe
off
the
him.
Demon beats him, because the Demon is undefeated.
Okay.
So maybe that would be it. Because basically Roman and Balor are tied 1-1, if you think about it, because the first time they fought, it was for the Universal title number one contendership.
Number one contender match on Finn's first night on Raw.
Finn's first night on Raw, he beat Roman Reigns.
Huge win.
Then Roman beats Finn in a later on match when he comes back. How long ago was that? A couple months ago?
Beginning of the summer.
Beginning of the summer. He beat Finn Balor. So maybe we do see Finn Balor go Demon King and fight Roman for the IC title.
I'll tell you why I like that, because I want to see Roman lose the title clean. I don't want to see an outside interference or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that I'm on board with.
I'm on board with that too.
And an interesting side note, I feel like with the IC title, you mentioned it when we were watching Raw, Roman coming down to the ring without the title a lot of the time, which is just a little weird to me.
Yeah. Sometimes he does come out. For the opening promo, he didn't even come out with it, I don't think. Or last week when he came out, he didn't. He wasn't even wearing it. So like, I feel like that takes away from the title a lot.
I agree.
When
with
you
that.
don't come out with the title, like, why do you even have it?
What's the point of being
What's the point of being the champion?
Especially going from a champion like The Miz to Roman Reigns.
Right.
Like when The Miz had the title, you can make the argument the Intercontinental title was the most important thing on the show.
The most prestigious title in the
in
WWE.
the WWE because The Miz made it feel that way.
Yeah.
He came out with the title every week, and he delivered.
And I think that's what I like about Enzo too. Is Enzo always has that title on him, and he has it in public too. He brings it around with him, which is really cool.
It gives it credibility.
Yeah, for sure.
God, I miss Miz.
I miss Miz
It's
too.
been like 3 weeks, a
been-
month.
If
I miss him so
The
much.
sooner he comes back, the better. So we'll finish up Raw, the main event. Kane versus Braun Strowman. Winner is the number one contender for the Universal title with Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. and this ended in a double countout, and then Braun beat down Kane. Are we gonna get a triple threat match at the Royal Rumble?
It looks so. It looks like that.
I don't know if that's exactly what I want to see. I think I might rather see Braun Lesnar.
Right, but the thing is, they don't want. So, I don't think they want Braun to go over Lesnar so soon. I also don't think they want Lesnar to lose one-on-one clean unless his name is Roman Reigns.
Why?
That's just how
Braun's
it is.
the perfect guy.
I know.
And not so soon. We already saw Lesnar beat Strowman one time.
Yeah.
So.
And we also saw Lesnar defend the title in a multi-man match, including Strowman. It'll be.
Forgot about that.
So at SummerSlam, you had a match of the year candidate, the 4 guys, and now you're gonna take out Roman and Joe, and put in Kane, in that to make it a triple threat.
Yeah.
Kane doesn't belong in the main event anymore.
Is it just his farewell, and that's why he's getting the love?
I guess so. I think he's retiring
I
at
heard
WrestleMania.
he
or something
might
like that.
retire at Mania.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, what do you get him back in? Not that he's not going to win, obviously.
Oh, absolutely not. Zero
But
chance.
you get
he
him
wins.
in the match, maybe, I guess.
Maybe to eat the pin for Braun if they want to go with Braun winning
Okay.
I think
and
that's
maybe
what
that
it
sets
is.
up a WrestleMania match, perhaps?
or something, or maybe. So maybe their plans are, instead of it being just Roman and Lesnar, which we've been grueling for so long,
Yeah.
they add in Strowman. So now Strowman's the champion and is a triple threat match. That would be way more interesting than just Roman versus Lesnar,
Wow.
which we've seen how many times around. Like, it makes sense.
So, nonetheless, you got these 3 guys potentially in the Universal title picture. Again, the Royal Rumble's not for another month and a half. We have time for these stories to flesh out.
Yes.
So, that'll do it for Raw. Now, before we get to SmackDown, we're going to skip over that for a minute because we'll get to SmackDown and we'll get to Clash of Champions predictions. First, let's get to NXT live on the USA Network this week, WWE Week. They picked 3 great matches to put on in that hour to showcase NXT on USA.
Yeah, and they did really well with ratings. They got, do you guys know how much the viewership was? It was 813,000 people tuned in to watch NXT that night.
Which I think it's just the beginning for NXT as its own brand.
It was the most watched show in that time slot on that day, like just the whole day.
That speaks to how popular NXT has
Yeah.
become, and also how badly people would like to see it on live TV.
And interesting to note, the future of NXT looks really bright. I heard Triple H has been talking about potentially having main roster guys go down to NXT, not as a demotion, but just to put on these great matches with guys like Aleister Black, guys like Adam Cole, guys like Andrade Cien Almas. If, like, for example, if you send a guy like Dolph Ziggler down to NXT, who's not doing much on the main roster, and you let him work 20-minute main events with these guys, he'll put on some of the best matches of his career.
Yeah.
If, like, we saw it with Cesaro years ago, Zack Ryder did it. He went down and formed a team with Mojo Rawley. Even guys like Gallows and Anderson, if you send guys like them down, put them in a feud with the Authors of Pain, Sanity, whoever, that's only going to increase the worth of NXT. And until it's not the third brand, nobody's getting called up to Raw and SmackDown. They're getting traded because
Okay.
NXT is then going to be on the same level as these 2 shows.
Is that what you want? Is that what the people want, though? I think that the way that it's set up works.
Right.
How you get called up
Yeah.
like that.
I agree. I like the way NXT is right now. I feel like if they were to take it to the next level and bring it as like this third brand, I don't know how I'd feel about it. Yeah.
And how is it? I don't hate the idea, because I would like to see, especially Dolph. That was a perfect name to drop out. How do they not take it as a demotion?
Yeah.
As
I
long
agree
as
with
they're
that.
getting the same pay rate,
Okay.
I think they
I guess
they'll be
Exactly,
fine with that.
especially a guy like Dolph who's been there for years,
Right.
who probably isn't as worried about the money as some other guys.
Right.
Just to go, work a lighter schedule. You're not on the road all
Right.
the time. You're,
That's the
you're
other thing.
living
It's
in
a way lighter
Orlando.
schedule.
And you're just putting on A+ matches every week in the main event. Who's going to say no to that?
So, yeah, I mean, definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I don't know if I like seeing NXT as like a third brand. I like it as like a developmental league right under.
But
Raw
I
and
feel
SmackDown.
like it's since the middle of 2012 when FCW transitioned into NXT, this idea of NXT has just come so far.
It's evolved.
That it's
Yeah.
exactly it's evolved. It's not. I don't think it's developmental anymore at all.
Yeah.
What you get on TV is not the developmental. Obviously, they put on their live events all around Florida. They tour the U.S. Those are more of the developmental shows.
Yeah, it's almost like it's half developmental and half like indie wrestlers that know what they're doing, but they're working their way up to make it so they could go into WWE and be fine.
Like NXT every week on the network, or what we saw on USA, that's a touring brand. That's your third brand. That's not developmental. Aleister Black versus Adam Cole is not a developmental match.
Absolutely
That's headlining
not.
a pay-per-view.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's not even just developing your skills, though. It's also developing your character. And I think that's really what I would see it as, is like getting your name into the WWE sphere and then waiting for that call-up.
Yeah.
And, like, again, Aleister Black and Adam Cole is two great examples. They put on a great main event. Two guys who, already coming into the WWE, they have a fleshed-out character. They bring it into the WWE light, start working the WWE style once they get to NXT. But realistically, 2-3 months, they're ready to go. They're staying there because they're at the top of NXT, and realistically, NXT needs them. Because guys like that, guys like Fish and O'Reilly, guys like we just saw it with Bobby Roode and Nakamura, when they came up, like, you're a little lost. NXT is a little lost when their top few guys get called up. So instead of having these guys called up, if you have some guys from Raw and SmackDown that kind of just make their way to NXT, that fills that void while all these other guys are still developing in the Performance Center and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that.
So, and now we'll get into SmackDown before we get to the break. Not much going on this week's SmackDown. Mostly just heading to the pay-per-view. First, we had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and the Yep movement. They're trying to get Daniel Bryan on board, and I think the best part about it is that he gets everything they're saying, and Daniel Bryan added himself to the Clash of Championships match as special guest ref. Now, there's two special guest refs, Shinsuke Nakamura and Randy Orton versus Sami and KO. Shane and Daniel Bryan are the special guest refs.
We're on a crash course for something crazy to happen, I think.
Yeah, I
have
see
no idea
something,
what it is.
I see something weird happening here. I don't think this match is going to end clean. I think there's going to be some weird stuff going on between Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. And we did talk about this last week, where we think that Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon will eventually have a match if Daniel Bryan is scheduled to return. But it definitely is something fishy going on.
And I like it better that Daniel Bryan is involved in this match now.
Yeah.
Legitimately involved as a ref, because now we're less likely to see any phony business between, Shane and, if it was just Shane as the special guest referee, him leaning towards, one way.
Right, yeah.
So now we get a little bit of, both sides.
So now, before we'll talk much more about that as we get into our predictions, the last thing we want to bring up of this week's SmackDown before we get to break, Rusev and Aiden English, Rusev Day, defeats the tag team champions, the Usos, on the go-home show before this pay-per-view. Rusev and Aiden English look really good as a team.
2 big wins in a row.
That's right. They beat the New Day. They beat the Usos. What does this mean for them moving forward?
Hopefully they get a more high-profile feud, maybe against the tag team champions. Whoever comes out of this Fatal 4-Way, the winners eventually. But
unless they come out of the Fatal 4-Way.
Right. Unless they win it. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
Curveball.
Yeah.
All right, so after the break, we'll get into all of our Clash of Champions predictions. This is the Phenomenal Forum. We're going to take a quick break here on WCWPsports.org.
You're listening to the Phenomenal Forum.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Phenomenal Forum. Matt Weinstein here each and every week with Andrew Servideo and Alex Damiris. Myke Simpson joining us tonight. So we'll get into those Clash of Champions predictions. We'll go right into it. First match, Mojo Rawley versus Zack Ryder. The explosion of the Hype Bros. We haven't seen something like this since the Mega Powers exploded. We had Macho Man and Hogan, now you get Mojo and Zack Ryder. I can't contain myself. So
definitely on the same level.
Yeah, 1A and 1B, right?
I'd say it's like the Rock Stone Cold of this generation.
I don't see a problem with any of those comparisons. So we'll get right into it. Andrew, who do you got?
I got Mojo Rawley. There's no way Zack Ryder wins this.
I will also take Mojo because this isn't the end of it, I don't think. I think we're going to see much more of this. We'll see Zack Ryder's redemption, but this Sunday, Mojo.
I got Rob Gronkowski interfering in the match, and Mojo taking the win.
Oh my gosh.
You know, the issue is that I'm not doubting it.
I wouldn't doubt that. I really wouldn't.
I got, as much as I want to see Zack Ryder come out on top of this feud, he's not going to. I got Mojo also.
Where
So,
is the pay-per-view this week? Do we know? I'm sorry. Side note.
Ooh.
Is it Boston?
I think it's in Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus.
Yeah.
Ohio? Not
Yep.
not even close.
I
All
think
right.
so, yeah.
Home of the Blue Jackets.
I think
Look
so.
at that.
Just sorry, a little side note.
Yeah, what are
Just
you
thinking of where Gronk is. They're in New England this week. I'm not sure.
So
Where are they playing?
he's a phone call away. So next match, again, this match I feel like has the same kind of feel, for me at least, to the Raleigh Zack Ryder. We got the 6-month build of the Bludgeon Brothers versus Breezango. Andrew, what do you got for me?
I really want Breezango to win, but I know they're not going to, so I got to go with Bludgeon Brothers.
This is literally the same match as the original for me. As much as I want Breezango, as much as I want Zack Ryder, these are both 3-minute matches that are squashes.
Yeah.
Since I think we're all on the same page, you think Bludgeon Brothers as well?
Yeah, I mean, that scream.
Yeah, the scream,
yeah,
right?
that's the scream, that's the
You
scream.
like the
That-
finisher?
Yeah, I thought
You
it was
like
really
that
cool.
one?
But it's like the Shield triple power bomb. Just with
It's
two guys.
similar.
It's very similar.
How about the slap in the face before?
I
anything
love
gets
that.
That's
going?
cool.
You
Great.
like
That's
that?
really cool.
Because I'm trying to get on board with these guys.
They're so good
They're-
together.
They're
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
in the ring.
They have very good chemistry.
They're good in the ring, and wouldn't it be so funny? You see the Bludgeon Brothers come in, they're crushing everybody. First pay-per-view, Breezango takes him out.
Listen, I would not be mad.
I would love it.
I
That
would
beauty
love it.
shot spin kick from Tyler Breeze is devastating.
Everything that Breezango does is money, and if they pull off this victory, I'll be very happy, and I love it. I would love it if that happened.
But based on where this match is coming from, I'm gonna give my fantasy hot take and what I think could actually happen.
All right, I got one for you also.
My fantasy hot take is that Breezango, this match ends in some sort of nonsense, and then the Bludgeon Brothers are just on the fashion files for the next 6 months.
Instead of the Ascension.
But then, go. What do you got?
How about Ascension comes out, helps Breezango
That's-
win the match?
And then that leads
To
to
a
a legitimate feud for the Ascension with the Bludgeon Brothers.
Hey,
That's what I
look
had.
at that. That'd be great, but it's
I-
not gonna happen, probably.
No, again, this match is going to be 35 seconds, and Breezango is going to get pinned. That's just how these things work. So now we'll move it on to the women's title match: Charlotte versus Natalya in a lumberjack match. The rest of the SmackDown women's roster will be ringside.
Ugh, I don't know. See, now here's the thing. If this is a lumberjack match, I really think this Money in the Bank is going to be cashed in. I really do. Because something's going to happen where this new Ruby Riot team is going to come in, the Riot Squad, they're going to come in, they're going to...
With two T's.
They're going to come in, whoever wins this match, I'm assuming it's going to be Charlotte, because she's going to retain. They're going to beat her down afterwards, and everything's going to break loose, and Carmella's going to cash in her Money in the Bank briefcase.
Now, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I don't make Money in the Bank predictions anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I don't do that
I
on
really
this show
don't.
anymore.
We have them
Yeah.
on the wall. here,
Nonetheless,
all the other ones.
I think I'll go as far as Charlotte retaining. That I think you have that puts away the feud.
But
of
like,
Charlotte
what is
and
the
Natalya.
purpose of having a lumberjack match if they're not going to?
That's a good point.
I'll say this. Someone's dropping a title on Sunday. You have 3 title matches, right?
4.
4. I'm sorry, 4 title matches. Someone's got to drop the title. If not now for the Money in the Bank, I'm not sure when. However, I don't think it's now. I think Charlotte wins and carries the title
And that's
out.
the end of the story.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think the underdog, the golden child of the Hart Dynasty, Natalya, takes the belt.
She's gonna win that title.
I like
back.
the hot
So now we'll get to the triple threat for the United States title. Champion Baron Corbin defending against Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode. You know, we talked earlier about how Raw is kind of just stalling for time till the Royal Rumble. I feel like they're stalling for time until they finally give us Baron Corbin versus Bobby Roode straight up. And until then, I don't think Bobby Roode wins the title, so I think Baron Corbin pins Dolph Ziggler to retain, and we don't see a Bobby Roode U.S. champion until he gets a one-on-one match.
I agree 100%. I don't think Baron Corbin's losing this match whatsoever.
It's hard to picture Corbin losing this match, but for the sake of our show and how we
Sure.
can't keep giving the same 3 predictions, let's make the U.S. title glorious. and let's have a Bobby Roode championship, and then we get the singles match, the rematch against Baron Corbin after, whenever that may be. Rumble or whenever.
Mike, what do you got?
I like me some Bobby Roode. I'm taking him.
Let's go,
You got
Mike.
Bobby Roode.
Rick Rude comes back from the ashes. Interferes.
Oh my God.
So now we got, it's a scorching hot take. So we got this fatal 4-way tag match. The Usos defending the titles against the rightful contenders, Benjamin and Gable, versus the New Day. Why are they in the match?
Why are they in the match?
Gable was saying, why are Rusev and Aiden English in the match as well? But the past 2 weeks, they beat the New Day and they beat the Usos. They're firing on all cylinders, and are they the favorites in this tag match?
The Usos?
No, Rusev and English.
Oh, Rusev. Ooh.
They beat the past 2 tag champs the past
Listen,
2 weeks.
I don't think Usos are losing this match either. I think they're gonna come out winning the titles. But you guys could agree. You could predict whoever you think.
I want to ask a question. You guys are going to think I'm joking, but it's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
Why are they in the match? Seriously,
Who?
why are the New Day in the match?
The New Day.
Just because they have to
That-
be?
Because they're
See,
experienced.
Because they just need the New Day in the match to
Sure.
do something?
The
Yeah.
New-
There's a couple spots, I'm sure there's some jumps off the top rope onto the
Yeah.
side will happen.
Not that they're bad. I don't not like watching
They
the
don't.
New Day.
There's no reason they're in the match. I agree.
Why are they in the match?
You can make
you can make the
case-
same argument about Rusev and Aiden English.
At least they won 2 big
Rusev and
matches.
Aiden English beat the champions
But why are they in the match?
because they just beat
Yeah,
the
they beat
champions.
the
I'm telling you right
champions.
now.
Yeah, but like
And
that was
they
like a
beat
last
New
minute
Day.
thing. Like it should have been like a one-on-one Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin versus the Usos.
We're getting a lot of new tag teams on SmackDown Live now. It's, but you have these 4 plus the 2 in the other match we're seeing, Bludgeon Brothers against Breezango.
And the Ascension.
And the Ascension you also have. So there's a lot of tag teams. I don't know what's going to happen. I would love to see Rusev Day go 3 for 3 and take home the tag titles on Sunday.
It would be really cool.
Well, you mentioned a lot of tag teams.
Yeah.
You're forgetting one, and that's Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And I think, obviously jumping the gun a little bit, I don't think they're going to be fired. That is the stipulation if they lose. I think that the Usos retain the titles to lose to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
I agree with that as well.
And Sami and KO are atop the SmackDown brand as the best tag team.
Are we giving Benjamin and Gable a shot?
If it was a one-on-one match, I'd say maybe. That's the only reason.
But no sneaking in, no dirty
don't think
play
so.
maybe from these two?
I could even see the New Day winning before them. That
Yeah.
could be why the New Day's in the match to win the titles back. But I think the Usos take it. They keep them.
But then you just got to think, if it's New Day winning, then you're going to get the Usos New Day again.
yeah,
Exactly.
I don't know.
And now they're like boys.
Yeah, now they're
the
friends.
5 of these guys.
They had a 5-on-5 a tribute to the troops. It was the Usos and the New Day were a team.
Yeah.
This Oos truce is going a long way.
The Oos
but
truce,
I
yes.
think the Usos retain the titles and they put a pin in all 3 of these feuds.
All right.
All right. It's
I
fine.
gotta say, I like Shelton Benjamin as a heel, just to call back to the old Shelton Benjamin. I love him.
Yeah, I
Just
think Gable
in
could fit
in
into that
spot.
role too. So maybe
I feel like
something
they're kind of
happens.
starting to get that way, especially because the Usos have been acting more like babyfaces each and every week. If I want to see a Gable and Benjamin get their one-on-one tag match for sure. So 2 matches to go. AJ Styles, Jinder Mahal, WWE Championship. Andrew, I know you have very strong feelings about this match.
Just end the feud already. Just end it. It just needs to end. AJ Styles wins. That's it. I don't care. Just end the feud. I don't want it to last any more longer than it needs to be.
Let's just go to the next match. Why even say anything?
Well,
Yeah, I agree.
because if that's the case, who's next for AJ Styles?
Anybody.
Who's next for
anybody,
Jinder?
Anybody but Jinder.
The
I don't
mid-card.
care, dude.
The mid-card is next for
Anybody.
Jinder.
Bring up freaking Ty Dillinger. Where's he been? Have him fight AJ Styles. I don't care. As long as it's not Jinder Mahal, I do not care who fights AJ Styles.
I'm not as enthusiastic. I think this ends on Sunday.
Yeah,
Hot take. You know what's next for
Jinder?
Jinder? NXT.
See, that could actually be. Hold on. That and then going back to my point earlier, that's not the worst idea.
It's not.
That's
It could benefit
'cause
Jinder
he
very
goes
well.
back. It helps him. It helps whoever he's wrestling in NXT. And that's the callback that for a guy to get on board with that, it has to not be a demotion.
Maybe he goes with the Bollywood boys or whatever the Singh brothers.
The Singh brothers.
And he helps them now become NXT Tag Team Champions.
What a fall from grace that would be,
Right.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Definitely demotion.
yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's demotion.
That's
feel.
the issue. So
Yeah.
All right, we'll get into this last match. We've obviously been talking about it all show. Orton and Nakamura versus Sammy and KO. Shane and Daniel Bryan are the special guest refs. Prediction, Andrew.
So I don't know. I'm very on the fence about this match. This is a very tricky match to call. I don't see Sami Zayn and KO losing now. They have so much momentum behind them, and if Randy Orton and Shinsuke lose this match, it doesn't do anything to them. It doesn't hurt them whatsoever. So I'm gonna go with Sami Zayn and KO winning this match and then going on to fight for the tag team championships.
I agree with that, and I'm going to tell you how they get there. The big story is not Orton and Nakamura versus Sami and KO. The big story is Shane versus Daniel Bryan. And Owens is going to hit a pop-up powerbomb or whatever they're going to hit to finish with, probably on Orton. They're not going to pin Nakamura again. And Nakamura will be knocked out outside. Orton will be ready to be pinned. They'll have him down for the 3 count, and Shane either just doesn't count it, he doesn't want to count it or whatever, and Daniel Bryan kicks Shane in the head and knocks him out.
So I just had like an epiphany just now. I don't know if you saw me do that. Like I freaked out a little bit.
Yeah.
So
this is radio. Nobody else saw
all right.
you, but all right.
Yeah, okay, great. So if Nakamura and Randy Orton lose, right, we could get the story out of this is that Randy Orton won the Royal Rumble last year, and now Shinsuke is going to go and win the Royal Rumble this year, and they do a feud before Royal Rumble.
That's got to be. I thought nice epiphany. I figured that was going to happen anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't.
What
I
are they
didn't
going to
know.
do after this?
That's what I'm saying.
They'll go against each
So it
other?
makes
Yeah,
sense.
Sure. And I think back to my point. I think Daniel Bryan knocks out Shane. He kicks him in the head, and he counts the 3 count. Finally allying himself fully with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Heel turn for Daniel Bryan.
Really? That'd be cool.
I don't think my emotions are ready for that. I don't think I could emotionally handle it.
I think that'd be really cool
Daniel
if you were to
Bryan heel
manage them as like their tag team. That'd be a cool idea.
He's still the GM
He's the general
of
manager.
SmackDown.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And maybe he gets fired because Shane gets pissed off at him during the match.
I could almost see your scenario, except Shane knocking out Daniel Bryan.
The opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Then who wins? Then Orton and Nakamura win?
Yeah, but then they can't. These
Because
two are not
they
getting
back themselves
fired.
into a corner. They're not, and whether they go to Raw or something like that, they're on SmackDown. They're staying on SmackDown.
See, this provision is like the only reason why the outcome of this match has to be Sammy and KO winning.
It's just a matter of how you get there.
Yes, exactly, and that's the selling point for the match.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So I think that'll do it for our Clash of Champions predictions. I think it realistically, I'm tuning in Sunday to see what happens with Shane and Daniel Bryan. For me, that's kind of the only draw. But we got to get out of here pretty soon. But the last couple minutes, we're gonna talk a little top 5, top couple. I only have 4.
I have 3
matches of top. What are your favorite matches of all time?
Let's start off with Myke, our special guest today.
Mike,
Yes.
what do you got?
And I'm
for
curious
us?
to see. We don't know each other's.
We have
Right.
this.
So-
You're hearing this. We're hearing this for the first time, same as you, our listeners. Mike, what do you got?
Just to preface this, I am a filthy casual, so these are all spot fests.
Not an issue.
And in no particular order, I have TLC 2, Hardy's, Dudley Boys, and Edge at Edge and Christian at WrestleMania X7.
Alright.
The spear off the titles is a classic.
I
moment.
also have that one. Do you guys have that?
Really?
I didn't
Yeah,
have that
I
one.
didn't have that one.
I have a different Hardy Boys ladder match.
All right, keep
That's
going,
cool.
Mike. But I also have that
We'll
one,
get
so
there.
I'll say that.
My number 2 is Mick Foley and Randy Orton at Backlash 04. No holds barred, just because of the one moment where Orton goes for the RKO, misses, and his back is just covered in nails when
Oh,
he
the
gets up.
tax,
Tax,
yeah.
yeah.
Number 3, RVD versus John Cena, One Night Stand 06.
Okay.
What a great match.
Nice.
Yeah.
like that.
Everything about it.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm on board.
Okay.
Number 4, less for the match, but for the moment, Chris Benoit beating HBK and Triple H
Triple threat match, yeah,
Yep.
for his.
At
That was a
WrestleMania
good
20.
one.
That was cool.
with Benoit and Eddie at the end of WrestleMania. And then my number 5 is another Mick Foley match, is him versus Taker at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
the
good
most
one,
known
too.
match.
Another good
Hey,
one.
nice list.
I like your list, Mike.
It's a good list.
Alex,
I'll
let's
give
go
you-
right into you. What do
I
you
only
got?
have 3. I'll give you the 2 that I don't have because I had the TLC with the Dudleys, Edge and Christian. I'll give you, obviously, Stone Cold Bret Hart WrestleMania 13. Probably best match of all time.
Yeah.
My favorite match of all time. Razor Ramon, HBK, WrestleMania 10. Ladder match
Ladder
for the
match, yep.
Intercontinental Championship. That's what I got.
Cool.
Andrew.
Oh, you're gonna go last?
You want to go last?
Because you got to put yourself over,
I'll
right?
go. Whoa. All right.
Easy, Roman.
All right. I'm gonna go right now. Get out of here. I'm gonna take my time so we don't hear Andrew's list. All right. So I have 4, and my number 1 is number 1. The other 3 are in whatever order. So I'll give you the other 3 first. Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 24.
Flair's last match.
Flair's last
The
match.
retirement match. Yep.
I'm sorry. Super kick
I'm sorry.
to the face.
I love you.
I'm sorry. I love you.
Yeah.
Super
Hit
kick
1,
to
2,
the face.
3.
What a great run for Shawn Michaels. He had Taker the year after that.
Take the next 2 years.
Yeah.
That was
next
some of
years,
like
right.
Shawn Michaels' best matches in
Yeah.
in those couple of years that he was wrestling.
So then I have 2 ladder matches. I have Armageddon 2006. The Hardys versus Eminem versus William
Is that the
Regal
Joey
and
Mercury
Dave
match?
Taylor
Yeah.
versus London and Kendrick when Joey Mercury's broke his nose and couldn't wrestle anymore.
Yeah.
That match, I think it was match of the year that year. London and Kendrick win. That match it's always been one of my favorites.
London and Kendrick, underappreciated, I feel. That was a really good tag team.
Yeah.
They were great. So then, in my other ladder match, Money in the Bank 2011, the SmackDown Money in the Bank match that Daniel Bryan won. That's always been one of my favorite matches. It was him, Wade Barrett was in there, Cody Rhodes.
Wade Barrett. Forgot about him.
That was one of my favorites. And number 1, kind of recent, just a couple days ago, was the 3-year anniversary. Sami Zayn versus Adrian Neville, NXT Championship, TakeOver, Our Evolution. My absolute
Great
favorite match.
It's a fantastic match for sure. All right. So let's go with my top 5. I'm gonna do these in order. So from
5 to 1.
5 to 1.
5 to
5
1.
to 1. So number 5, I got The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18.
Mark.
Super Mark. I love that match. I will go and watch that match whenever I'm bored.
Shawn Michaels, Hogan, best Hogan match ever.
SummerSlam 06, yeah. Okay, so number 4, I have AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom 10. That's a fantastic match. I love that match.
Now, before you keep going, that's my one issue with the 2 of them wrestling at WrestleMania. Because will they be able to top that match?
You
Only
say
one way
that,
to find
but
out.
I really think it will because
I don't know. I think they can, but I don't know if they will.
I think they will because it's for the title. It's for the WWE Championship.
Hopefully.
Who
Who knows? We thought we were going to get Jericho Owens last year for the
Right,
Universal title.
yeah.
It was the
Well,
U.S. title.
Goldberg had to ruin that.
Anyway, wow. All right.
All right,
you
so
just keep going. Mark.
Mark.
Keep going.
Number 3, I got Triple H versus Undertaker WrestleMania 28, Hell in a Cell. I love that match.
The end of an era that wasn't the end of the era. Sure.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But agreed.
Yeah. And number 2, I got Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 26, not 25. I like 26
Really?
better. Yeah,
I like 25.
Yeah, I prefer 25, but they're both great matches.
both great matches. I think the 26 was great because it was the exclamation mark to Shawn
For sure.
Michaels' career,
Is that
especially
like
coming towards the
Is
end.
that like an exclamation point, or are you just going to keep saying Mark? Like,
Mark.
You really...
I
don't know what it
you
is.
jumped
All
on
right. No,
my
it's fine.
back.
No, it's fine.
Relax.
No,
man.
I
Major heel turn.
We're not
Yeah,
friends
turn
here.
on
We're
Matt
just
right now.
coworkers.
You have to
Keep
preface
going.
it saying, I'm a Mark. Here's my list.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Mike, this is show number 1. He already gets.
He
how it
already
works.
understands the
All
concept.
right, so what's your number 1?
Number 1 is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn at NXT TakeOver Dallas.
Oh, he's such a mark.
That's my favorite match of all time. What are you gonna say?
I love that match.
I love that
It's
match.
absolutely incredible. A great first match for Nakamura. Last NXT match for arguably the face of NXT, Sami Zayn. I loved it.
You guys didn't pick one match before 2005.
Yeah, I did.
What did I have? What was X7? That was like,
Wait.
Actually, yeah, all
When
right.
was X8?
Oh, 2.
All right, well, there you go.
The year after.
21st century boys.
I did. My earliest match was 2006, but
Grow up, Matt.
I only had 4 matches, so I didn't have a
That's
5th
true.
one. All right.
Heart Stone Cold was a good pick, though. I'd say,
Yeah.
as far as like a
With that bloody
mid-match
Stone Cold
turn,
face.
Great story.
Yes,
greatest match
exactly.
ever.
Yeah.
All right. So actually, you know what? We'll give you one.
Oh, a special last one?
okay. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, man.
No, you ruined it. All right, so that's going to do it for the Phenomenal Forum. I'm Matt Weinstein with Andrew Servideo, Alex Demirs. Thank you to Myke Simpson for joining us
Mike.
tonight.
Thanks for having me.
This has been the Phenomenal Forum. We'll see you next week here on WCWPsports.org.